Good morning, fellow Hoops fans. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. As always, brought to you by our great mates over there at topsport.com.au. Monday morning, got old mate BK in the building. How are you, my man?
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. You know, it was a nice weekend for me, nice and relaxing. Some good hoops action. What about yourself?
Can't complain, my man. Always good. The NBA's heating up towards the playing tournament. Things are getting interesting.
That's one way to look at it, man, because I'm looking at it like we're in the dog days of the NBA season now. But you make a good point. The play-in tournament is definitely one thing to keep an eye on. We're going to preview what we think is going to happen with that in just a little bit. But first off, we're going to start off with old mate LeBron James, the washed king, making more history now. Over the weekend, he passed Karl Malone for second all-time points, career points. He's just behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar now. So entering the game, he only needed 20 points to pass Malone. Got that in the first half. We're going to show the highlight here real quick of LeBron getting that record. Absolutely, look at this. What a way to get it to. Just a cut to the basket. Easy layup there for the king. He's now 1,440 points away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which means he'll probably get that at some stage next season. His 20th season in the league. BK, what an achievement.
And he's not even a scorer. That's not proving his deals. He just accidentally scored 38,000 odd points in the NBA. But this is a pretty big milestone for LeBron James to be only chasing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We knew this was coming, but for him to come out the way he did in that game, he needed 20 points. He had that before halftime. But again, it was a classic Lakers. LeBron plays awesome, and they still lose kind of game. But we'll take away the victory, at least for LeBron, making history in that game.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's at this point in the Lakers season, this is like the highlight of the season.
That's what he's playing for.
But I believe you wrote about this as well for NBA Australia when LeBron broke the record. Now, break it down for me. So LeBron's lowest scoring output, which was, I believe, the bubble season, right, which he only played 60 games, and he still had about 1,200 points that season. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. He's maintained a pretty solid average, at least throughout his career. He's been 27, 7, and 7. But I think now he's having his best scoring season since his last year in Cleveland. So the fact that he's gone from that to upping it to this point where he's now in contention for the scoring title just kind of shows you just how dominant LeBron has been this season, and the fact that he's doing it in year 19 is even more incredible.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to his longevity and his ability, obviously, to look after his body, to keep himself in great shape to play this long. I mean, Kareem played, I think, 21 years as well. Do we ever see anybody breaking? I mean, LeBron will break this record. Do we ever see anybody breaking LeBron's record down the line? I mean, that's for a guy to play in the league for that long, that consistently at that level, I don't know if we're ever going to see it again.
Especially when you consider the great scorers in the game, like Kevin Durant is probably a guy who you think, he could, he should be in that conversation. But in terms of the games that he's missed a couple of seasons due to injury, and he's still some ways away behind. I mean, are we going to even see another scorer as good as Kevin Durant, in the next few years? Probably not. So when you combine talent and longevity, I mean, this is a record that, I mean, I just don't know if we're going to see it broken. And, they were probably saying that when Kareem retired, and look how long it took, for someone to come along and even really get close. So I think this one's going to stand for a while, but who knows with the way points are getting scored in the NBA, there could be someone coming along, averaging north of 30 for a long time as well. But I think this one's safe for the time being.
Yeah, no, I am definitely with you, man. I don't see anybody breaking these for the foreseeable future. Like I said, to play, you need to play, close to 20 years at a high level. And LeBron is just one of those guys he's a freak of nature. You know what I mean? You don't see many guys that are that age playing at this high level.
And he doesn't miss games. He doesn't.
No,
Like
that's right.
It's only really been in LA when he's had injuries that have kept him out for weeks or months at a time. Prior to that, this man was available every night.
Yeah, I think the longest I remember him being out was when he was with Miami. I think it might have been the first championship season where it wasn't even so much that he was injured. He just took a couple of weeks off, I think mid-season, just to sort of, rest up and get himself right. But other than that, you're right. It wasn't until he got to LA, which, again, he's at a more advanced age. So I get it. You're going to get more niggling injuries and things like that. So shout out to LeBron for that. I know you and I are going to be talking about him breaking Kareem's record at some stage next season. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Another guy I want to talk about, Luka Doncic, BK, because you actually broached this with me yesterday. We had a nice little conversation about it. Should Luka Doncic be in the MVP conversation this year? Now, individually, he's having a great season. He had 37 points yesterday. Mavs lost. They're 43-28 on the season. Doncic is averaging 28.1 points, 9.2 rebounds, 8.5 assists. Since the Porzingis trade, it just seems like he's been doing it all on his own, BK. He's having a great season, but should he be considered in that sort of top bracket of MVP level type guys this season?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that argument has been raised, especially in recent weeks. And when you look at what Doncic has done, especially in the second half of the season, as you said, 28, 8, and 8, he's the only player averaging those numbers. He's top 5 in points and assists. The Mavs have the second best record in 2022 behind the Phoenix Suns. And he's got no other all-star teammate. Like we talk about Jokic, who's out there hooping, by himself without his supporting cast. I mean, Doncic, he's been incredible. And really, I mean, he just has a team of good role players, but it's not like he has a designated number 2 that he can kind of look to every night. He's kind of out there doing it, as the focal point. He had 37 yesterday against the Charlotte Hornets. So I don't hate this argument. I mean, I've been really impressed by Luka Doncic, but the thing that falls over for me is it's only really been the sort of second half of the season. He did get out to a bit of a slower than usual start, to get this season underway. So I think that kind of works against him. But in terms of the Mavs record and the way he's been playing, if we're having a conversation, I think he's got to be in it.
You took the words out of my mouth in regards to he's had a great second half of the season. Like you said, he had a bit of a slower start to begin. I think that works against him when you're talking about should he be in the conversation. The other thing that works against him, and I've said this all season long, BK, and it's in regards to Jokic, who I think is having a better season than Luka Doncic. The team, they're outside the top 4, right? And if I'm not giving the MVP to Jokic because of that reason, I'm definitely not going to give it to Luka Doncic for having a great second half and having the Mavs in, I think they're 5th at the moment, right?
Yeah.
The Nuggets are still in 6th. So I'm definitely not giving it to Luka Doncic for that reason. I think those 2 reasons there I think they probably disqualify him from the conversation for me. Because for me, you've got Embiid, and I'm going to throw in Jokic because, yes, he does deserve to be in the conversation as much as I don't think he is the MVP. Embiid, Jokic, Antetokounmpo, and I think I've got DeMar in above Luka Doncic in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I think it just comes down to, have you been doing it all season? And the guys that you listed there definitely have. Like, they've been consistent throughout the regular season. And look, if Doncic had maybe started this run a month earlier, you could probably make an argument for him. But I think when you look back at the resumes of those other guys who have been at this level for the entire season, it does kind of make it hard to qualify him in there. But nonetheless, shout out to Luka Doncic. He's turned both his season and the Mavs' fortunes around. And especially, considering Porzingis is out of town now, he does have a handy team there, but geez, a lot of that burden offensively is on his shoulders.
Yeah, he's really carrying that team. Look, he's going to win an MVP at some point. I'm confident in that. I actually picked him last year. I thought he was going to win it coming out of the bubble year. I thought, all right, Luka's really going to turn it up. Didn't happen. He's definitely going to win one at some point in his career, right? Fair call, that one?
I think so. I mean, he's been the favorite the last couple of seasons, heading into both seasons. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the next 3 years we see an MVP from Luka Doncic.
Listen, get him a little bit more help so he doesn't have to carry the burden as much. You never know. It might unlock another level of Luka Doncic powers that we haven't seen. All right, BK, let's get straight into it here because this is the fun part of the season for me now where, A lot of these top teams, okay, they might be resting a few guys here and there. Philadelphia's already said they're going to be resting Embiid and Harden, at various stages leading into the playoffs. The real action right now is in the play-in section there. All these teams jostling for play-in seedings. We're going to take a look at these things here right now. Now, we're going to start off with the Eastern Conference, BK. So we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers here in 6th, Toronto 7th, Brooklyn 8th, Charlotte 9, and Atlanta 10. Now, 7 through 10 is the play-in seedings. The 6th seed gets that guaranteed playoff spot. Now, we've included Cleveland here because they're in jeopardy because they've won a couple in a row, but they're only 5-5, as we can see in their last 10. Now, we've got Toronto a game and a half behind, Brooklyn 2.5 behind them, Charlotte 1 behind Brooklyn, Atlanta, they're about a game and a half behind Brooklyn. Who do you like, BK, to get into that, first of all, the 6th seed? Do you think the Cavs can hold on? And then who do you like to get into the play-ins there?
Yeah, look, I think the play-in seeds will remain as they are. I do like the Raptors, though, as the best chance to leapfrog the Cavs. They were tied with them just a couple of days ago, and then obviously that loss to the Lakers dropped them back down. But the Raptors do have a couple of tough games against the Sixers and the Bulls before playing the Cavs. So, I mean, that could really tell us the story there. If they have a couple of bad results leading into that game and then they don't beat the Cavs, that'll pretty much stitch up the season for them there. But the Raptors have been in pretty good form. So they're the one team I think could jump out of there. I think the Nets, they are where they are. The Hornets, they are where they are, and the Hawks as well. They have a 5-game lead there over the Wizards. So it's only really the Raptors that have the potential for me to make a leap out of there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I'm just looking at it right now. Brooklyn don't make up 2.5 games at this stage in the season on the Toronto Raptors, so I don't think they leapfrog them. And I look at it, and yeah, I think, look, the Raptors have got a key stretch coming up here because they've got Philadelphia. I think they've got the Celtics as well coming up, if I'm not mistaken.
They've got the Bulls and then the Cavs.
The Cavs, there you go. So that's a key stretch for them now. So I remember when we spoke about the Raptors, I think it was last week, and I mentioned this as a key stretch for Toronto. They're going to show us really what they're made of now. If they can get a couple of nice victories there, because Cleveland, look, they've won 2 in a row. They've got a lot of injuries. They've somehow always managed to, keep their head above water when they've gone down with players. I think Toronto, I don't know. I agree with you. Look, I think Toronto is the most well-placed team to overtake the Cavaliers, but this next, 3-4 game stretch is really going to show us whether they can do it or not.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting the Cavaliers do hold the tiebreaker over the Raptors. They won their first 3 matchups of this season, so this is the fourth game of the season. So if they are eventually tied, the Cavs will get the nod there, just based off the tiebreaker. So they do have the advantage there.
There you go. All right. Shout out to the Cavaliers. We'll see how that one plays out. I know we're going to be talking about this a lot over the next couple of weeks because it's very interesting stuff. So let's move over to the Western Conference now. We're going to take a look at the teams over here. Denver Nuggets in 6th, like we spoke about, but only half a game back is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're surging. 4 in a row they've won. Then we've got the LA Clippers, who are about 4.5 games back of the Timberwolves. The Lakers are in 9th. I just look at that. 27 games behind the Phoenix Suns. That's incredible. And the New Orleans Pelicans, who are a half game back of the Los Angeles Lakers. The Spurs are 2.5 games back of the Pelicans. They're between 10 and 11. I think we can discount the Spurs. I don't think they make that up. So we're going to talk about the teams above them. The Pelicans, BK, the Lakers haven't been good. And I could see the Pelicans overtaking the Lakers. There's only a half game difference between those two there. What do you see happening in the Western Conference?
Hey, look, I don't think that's crazy at all. For all the turmoil in New Orleans this year, they've actually been good in the second half of the season since CJ McCollum was traded there. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were able to make up that gap. But the team that's the most intriguing to me is the Timberwolves. We spoke about them last week. They're 9-1 in their last 10 games. They're really building some nice momentum towards the postseason. And don't be shocked if they leapfrog the Denver Nuggets. They're only a half game back.
No, you know what? And if they do, shout out to them. And that just, if they end up taking, they leapfrog the Denver Nuggets, you can say goodbye to any campaign for MVP for Nikola Jokic. I'm sorry. He's already not going to get it at number 6. He wouldn't definitely not get it as a 7th seed. Minnesota Timberwolves, I think that, there's that battle there between 6 and 7. I think the Clippers are pretty much solidified there in the 8th spot. They're not going to catch anyone that finishes in the 7th, and they're not going to fall below, either 9 or 10 there. So they're the two battles for me: Denver and Minnesota, and then we've got the Lakers and the Pelicans. I do like the Pelicans to overtake the Lakers, and to tell you the truth, I kind of like the Timberwolves to go over the Nuggets as well.
Yeah, I just like the momentum of the of this Timberwolves team. They're young. This is their first winning season in a long time. So shout out to them. Karl Anthony Towns has probably been one of the most slept on players this season. He had that 60 piece, a week or so back. But the Lakers for me, I thought they were back when Westbrook hit that 3 to get him into OT. I was like, all right, here comes the season. Let's go. But unfortunately,
still hanging on to that island, BK. I love it.
I've been waiting on Westbrook Island all season. I thought this was it. We could turn the season around from now. But
you turned those rescue planes away. We sent those planes out to come and rescue you, mate, from that island, but you clearly turned them away. You're still hanging on.
I got a life raft. It's getting bad out here.
All right. We're going to take a quick look at if the play-in seeding were to start off today, we'll take a look at the matchups. It would be the Lakers versus New Orleans, Minnesota versus the Clippers, and then over there in the East, it'd be Charlotte and Atlanta and Toronto against Brooklyn. BK, out of these matchups, if things were to remain as they are, who do you like to come through in each one of those matchups?
As in out of the playing games or out of the
the playing games?
Ooh, as it stands, if it's just a one game situation, I still think I take the Lakers to handle the Pelicans on that side, and then I think it's going to be the Lakers. And you know what? I think the Clippers. They've been tricky this season. That's a tricky matchup, so I'm a rock with them. And I think the Nets are definitely coming through from that pool, and probably the Raptors too if they have to play the winner of that 9-10 game.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. I think the Pelicans would upset the Lakers. Oh, that could be a bold prediction. I think in a one-off game. I don't know. I just feel like there'd be like some sort of irrational confidence thing happening there with the Pelicans, and it would just be like putting the Lakers out of a miserable season. Like, just get it over and done with.
You don't think one game LeBron James can't get it done? One game against the Pelicans.
I think he can. I think he can, but I just think it's been that kind of Lakers season where it wouldn't even be enough. It's just been such a mishmash of personalities and playing styles, and it's just been a shit show over there. Minnesota Clippers would be interesting for me because, again, I think the Timberwolves have got a nice momentum going, and taking that into the playoffs, I like them to come through that one there. The Toronto-Brooklyn matchup, that one's tough for me because I could go either way. Brooklyn has shown that they can be absolutely phenomenal, but they've also looked pretty bad at various stages in this season. So that one could go either way. And then I would probably take Charlotte over Atlanta in that one over there.
Yeah, I think so. Charlotte's won 4 in a row now. They've finally got a little bit of momentum after having a pretty up and down season. But the interesting note with that Raptors-Nets series is that, or game rather, Kyrie wouldn't be available for that. It would be in Toronto. So that does definitely make things a little bit more interesting. But it's going to be fun because it's going to come right down to the last day of the season. The play-in definitely does give some credence to these final couple of weeks because things could shift very, very easily, very quickly.
Yeah, like I said, this is the most exciting aspect of the end of the regular season for me because I remember those years, especially being over there and covering the league. You'd turn up to some games in late March and you don't even recognize half the rosters because they've just dragged 3 blokes off the street to come and fill out the numbers. So it's good to have a little bit of excitement and some meaning to some of these games. All right, BK, we're going to take a look at some games that we've got on today, and then we're going to get out of here. 9 games on the NBA slate today. 2 already done. 3 are currently in progress now. So we're going to take a look at the 4 remaining games. After that, we're going to start off with the Utah Jazz and the New York Knicks. This one's being played in New York. Jazz favorites, $1.62. New York Knicks, $2.40. Lines at 3.5. Totals at 224 on NBA League Pass today. Utah's 3 games behind the Warriors for third in the West. Don't think they overtake them, but you never know with Steph Curry being out. No Mike Conley, Azubuike, Daniel House, and no Bojan Bogdanovic for the Jazz today. BK. Hassan Whiteside was questionable as of late last night, and Nerlens Noel out for New York. Who do you like?
I still like the Jazz in this game. They've been another team that's been very slept on this season. I feel like no one's been really talking about the Jazz, and they're still, the 3rd or 4th best team in the Western Conference. But I think they'll still have too much against the Knicks. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna pick your Knicks?
Listen, let me just stretch out the neck here, loosen up a little bit.
Woosa.
I'm gonna go with Utah and watch the Knicks blow them out now.
There you go. That's a guarantee now if you pick Utah.
Listen, I should have picked up on this trick earlier in the season and just always pick the away team. The Knicks would have been undefeated by now. But no, I think even without those guys, I do think the Jazz have got too much for the Knicks. You're right. They've been slept on. They had a great early season start, then went through a whole bunch of COVID and injuries and all that sort of stuff. But they've managed to keep themselves in that upper echelon, and that speaks to, obviously the coaching and the depth of that squad. So I do like Utah to come through. Next game we're going to take a look at. This one should be a good one here. The Boston Celtics, Denver Nuggets. Celtics, $1.66 favorites. Denver Nuggets, 232. Lines at 3. Total is at 221. Live on NBA League Pass. The Nuggets lost to the Cavs in OT on Saturday. But they got a 20-13 record at home. Celtics have won 2 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10. I'm sorry. They crushed the Kings on Saturday behind, I think it was about 60 odd points from Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined. Good news for the Nuggets. Jamal Murray practicing with their G League team this week. So hopefully he'll be back before the end of the season. BK, who do you like in this one?
I think I still got to rock with the Celtics in this one. They've just been too good over the last couple of months, and I want for Jokic and the Nuggets, but I just think the Celtics have got too much firepower. They're rolling right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Celtics form dictates that I must pick the Boston Celtics in this game here, and I'm going with Boston as well. Next game on the schedule. This another good one here with some, like we spoke about, some play-in implications. This is going to be a big game for the Toronto Raptors, but unfortunately for them, 76ers are favorites at $1.41. Toronto Raptors, 310. Lines at -3.5. Lines at -6.5. Sorry, I can't read this morning. The total is at 219 flat. NBA League Pass is where you can watch this one here. 5-1 road trip the Raps had, but then they had an overtime loss to the Lakers on Saturday at home. They're 1.5 games back of Cleveland. They're a good road team. They're 22-15 on the road, BK. Sixers have won a couple in a row, so they're playing well as well. The big one for them is Embiid is listed as questionable. Again, this is of late last night, so we'll have to see if he's going to play. OG Anunoby still out for Toronto. Look, if Embiid doesn't play, I'm going to rock with Toronto. If Embiid plays, I'm going with Philadelphia at home.
Hey, that's the difference an MVP makes.
There you go.
Even with Embiid in the lineup, I think that'll still be a close game. The Raptors just compete, and they compete for all 48 minutes. But if the big fella's out of the lineup, that's going to make that very difficult. We might have to see a James Harden 50-piece to get them over the line.
Which he's very capable of doing, but yeah. But I'm still going to, if he's out, I'm still rocking with Toronto. Last game we're going to take a look at, BK, and then we're out of here. The San Antonio Spurs, Golden State Warriors. Warriors, $1.40 favorite. San Antonio Spurs, $3.10. Line is at -6.5. Total is at 225.5. This one also live on NBA League Pass. Warriors have the second best home record in the league. No Steph Curry, but they should still have enough to beat the San Antonio Spurs today. No GP2 and Moses Moody is questionable. Lonnie Walker and Josh Richardson, both questionable for the Spurs. Even if they play, like I said, I still think the Warriors have too much for this San Antonio team.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works. I'm going to rock with the Spurs in this game.
All right. Okay. Why?
Look, if there's no Steph, that definitely just makes things a lot tougher for the Warriors. And look, they've got guys like Poole and Kuminga that can come in and contribute off the bench. But I just like the pluckiness of the Spurs team with Dejounte Murray. They've competed in the past, this season against the Warriors. I like them to come in there and get the win today.
Okay, I'm not mad at it. All right, so with 3 out of 4, we picked the same, and BK's gone out on a limb. He's gone with the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to see how that one plays out in a couple of hours' time. I'm sure if you're correct, you're going to be sending me that text message. So
there'll be a David Robertson flexing gift coming your way.
I can't wait. All right, my man. We'll see you later on in the week. Have yourself a great week. Enjoy the hoops. We'll chat to you again on Friday. This has been another episode of The Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. We'll see you guys Wednesday morning.